Welcome to the first episode of what's going to be a little bit of a different type of content, both for the YouTube channel and for the podcast stream. Basically, a lot of what I've done up until this point is really focus in on the YouTube channel side of things, so almost everything is visual based, which has been fine. And obviously, if you've been listening to this podcast stream for a while, you might be a little surprised because almost everything else on this podcast stream up until this point has always been an archive of the live stream that I do on the YouTube channel, which is good in a certain way. It lets some people get caught up on things. It also lets them catch up on different parts that they might not have been able to catch on the initial, either on the live or on a replay on YouTube. I know that's not convenient for everybody, but part of the reason I created it was because I knew that some people wanted to have the ability to be able to download it and take it with them. If you do have YouTube Premium, though, you do have a little bit of that capability, but for everybody else, that's why I created the Anchor account and then created this version of the podcast to allow that to happen. With that said, I kept calling it the Because I'm Carlos podcast, which, makes the most sense since it's a podcasting platform and I'm giving you an audio version. But the reality was that it's kind of a misnomer. Really what it was is, as I said, an archive of the live stream. And it was never catered to that format because you'd hear me talking to people that you can't see about comments you can't read and then showing you cards and talking about things you also can't see. So it was never quite the ideal experience. And I knew that at some point I really wanted to make sure that eventually I created actual podcast content that was intended primarily for this platform. That isn't to say that I'm not going to put this content up on the YouTube channel as well, but for them it's going to be kind of a static image or maybe something going on the screen. It's going to be almost the reverse. It's going to be a little bit minimal, but I want to make sure it's available on both platforms for discoverability and also so people can see it wherever they're most comfortable seeing it or hearing it, as the case may be. So this is the first episode that I would call more of a real type of podcast, and it's basically just me in the office working and talking through a different subject. And when I do these, it's really going to be just one topic for the however long I end up going. It could be a couple of minutes, or it could be one of my longer discussions. One thing I can guarantee is it won't be multi-hours because that's reserved strictly for the live streams, and I don't think anybody needs that for a regular standalone podcast. So now that we understand each other, the cadence on these is going to be a little bit dependent upon how many topics I come across or things that I feel are worth talking about. The good news is that doing this format will also allow me to be able to give you the odd episode of these whenever I do on a more timely scale. The archive is slowly getting caught up, but considering how long those episodes are, as you may imagine based on looking through the list of episodes, it means I don't want to just dump a bunch of episodes onto you all at once. There are 3, 4, 5, or maybe even more hours all at the same time. So I've been slowly getting caught up. And as I record this one, I downloaded the most recent one, which gets us basically into May. But that means we still need to get through the month of May, get into June. And as I'm recording this right now, we're at the beginning of July. So it's still going to be probably a month or two before we get all the way caught up on the archive. And then once we do, it'll be one episode at a time. So that's just to get us level set as far as where it goes, as far as the YouTube channel or as far as this podcast feed is concerned. I'm going to keep adding more episodes, keep archiving things, and slowly but surely we'll get caught up to the present day. But for today, I want to talk about a couple of other things. Now, one more thing before I get into the main topic here. I want to mention that a lot of this is going to be driven based on the feedback I get, both on the YouTube channel and elsewhere. So if you want to reach me, you can check out the YouTube version of this and just leave a comment in that comment section. That's the easiest way for me to see or hear you. The other way is you can always go to my Instagram. That's CarlosCards12. Altogether, CarlosCards12. I'll include a link to it in the description, and you can always message me that way. That is another way that I can get feedback because I'm always open to any topics if there's something that people want to hear about. And we'll try this out for a while and we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I won't promise any specific cadence, but if an episode is warranted, I will create it and then it will be completely distinguishable from the archive episodes because I'm going to label it differently. Probably just BIC for Because I'm Carlos. It'll be its own standalone thing. It'll be a separate series happening at the same time on the same podcast feed. And then you can choose which episodes you do or don't want to pay attention to. So I'll leave that to you, the listener. Anyway, for this episode, I wanted to talk about something very specific, which was something that folks wanted me to chat about. I didn't think there was a need to have a bunch of fancy visuals, though, so I thought this would be a prime candidate for the first episode doing this kind of thing. And what I want to talk about here today, and you'll have to excuse the background sound, I'm also trying a different microphone, so we'll see how this sounds. The first episode I wanted to talk about is I wanted to talk about repacks and repack products. Because it was something that came up in one of the videos I did recently where I was making fun of one of those, pics people that have cropped up on YouTube, making a bunch of pics, tend to be a little bit younger guys who are doing that and then trying to supposedly provide value to their community by offering them a variety of ways to give them money. Now, I'm not opposed to getting money, and I really mean this. I'm not opposed to getting money. Let me know if you need avenues with which to send me funds for absolutely nothing. But with that said, they try to come up with a bunch of different ways of monetizing things and making it work. Well, one of the ways that some of these guys do that is repack products. So when this came up in this specific example, I asked if folks wanted me to talk about it a little bit, and I did get some feedback to that effect, and I thought this was a good, appropriate topic to bring about. So when it comes to repack products, my stance on this is very simple. If we want to keep it short and sweet, and if this is good enough for you, then this will get you out of here. My recommendation is don't participate in repack products. That's my general recommendation. Why? Because you're basically playing a lottery ticket. It really is a crapshoot. And I'll elaborate a little bit more over the next couple of minutes, but really what it comes down to is you have to understand that in order for a repack product to work at its core, the majority of people buying the packs, the hot packs or whatever they want to call them, they have to lose for somebody to be able to win. And whenever I talk about stuff like this, I'm always beginning with the same assumption. First, we do scenario 1, where we're assuming everything's on the up and up. We're assuming whatever is promised is delivered, whatever that case may be. And as long as that's the case, I still don't recommend a repack product just because the likelihood is you're going to spend X amount and get less value back in return. The possibility of getting that nicer item is basically the draw that makes it work. Now, really quickly, just for the uninitiated, what a repack product is at its core. So now that I've said I recommend against them, I'll quickly define it and then I'll explain some of the other nuances of the repack product itself. So a repack product is kind of exactly what it sounds like. Somebody will source through a variety of means. It could be a card store opening up a bunch of boxes and packs and things like that, or it could be somebody who has a big collection, has a bunch of singles. It could be somebody buying cards in bulk. However you end up sourcing these cards, whatever they are, you source them, and then the intention is to then repack them into these packs, which you would then sell to people. So you would put together 100 packs, charge $20 a pack, so there is, a potential $2,000 for you. But in terms of what you get out of the packs, what people are supposed to be getting out of them is theoretically getting a certain amount of cards. They're guaranteed, a jersey or autograph card. They're guaranteed a numbered card. They're guaranteed some commons or something, some base cards and things like that. And they're guaranteed XYZ. And supposedly the value should stay in a certain range. But realistically, if we're being honest, one of the fundamental problems with repack products right off the top is that even if we take the line that it is completely being run above board, that everything that is promised is put into these packs, and that as long as all the packs sell out, all the cards that are promised will be pulled. So if we operate with that basic assumption, that still leaves us the problem that for the majority of people that are opening these packs, there is no way you can ever get back the value of what you're getting inside those packs. And that's just because of math. If you were to do a $20 repack product, and you actually provided $20 worth of value. And the value part is the part where it gets really tricky, because $20 based on what? $20 based on quote unquote book value. Well, Beckett is a little bit outdated for that, but you could theoretically do that. But we know that's not 20 real dollars. And at the same time, if you could get $20 of real value or more in some cases, then certainly it would make more sense for you to sell those commons or to sell those cheap inserts or whatever individually and make that money that way rather than put them into a repack product in the first place. Really what a repack product is just an excuse for folks that really want packs and really want cards to gamble. They want to, it's not the regular or average pack that they're worried about. It's the possibility of pulling the big hit, of pulling whatever is the promised big hit, a big rookie, an RPA, whatever the case may be, a big autograph. As a result, though, of like I said, the way that these have to work is if it's going to be profitable, the majority of people that open these packs must, by virtue of math, lose. There's no way they can all get equivalent value of what they paid. Otherwise, it would make no sense to run the product, especially if again, everything is on the up and up, you're giving away a couple of cards that are worth way more than any of these individual packs. So you got to make your money up somewhere. You got to basically break even on that, assuming you're giving out those big cards as part of what you promised. In addition to that, you must then also recuperate what you pay, whatever outlay you have for that, and then make some profit on top. That's the entire point of this exercise. So there's pretty much no way off the top outside of pulling the chase hit that you could possibly win. So again, I'm back to why would anybody participate in it? Well, we like to gamble. Like, if we're being completely honest, that's part of the reason that people do it. It's part of the reason people like buying packs when probably the ROI doesn't make any sense. They like to gamble, and that's understandable. But from that perspective, outside of your desire to gamble, there is no reason why you should participate in repack products. It doesn't make any sense. Now, again, everything I just said was based on scenario one, which was, let's assume everything's on the up and up. Let's assume whatever is promised is delivered. And let's assume if all the packs are bought, then somebody is going to get whatever the big grand prize is, whatever the big cards are, somebody will get it. And let's assume it's distributed randomly and there's no shenanigans there about who gets the pack with the good card, and everything's cool. Even then, it still doesn't make mathematical sense for you to participate in this kind of a product. Now, what about the dark side? What about the other part of it? And that's really where a lot of people get really worked up about it, and I do understand. But the reality is, I think at a certain point, I'm very much of the opinion, in general terms, that the consumer does have to, at a certain point, take care of themselves. Now, you can say that there are some very inexperienced people that are in the market, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. But in that scenario, I guess that's where stuff like this comes into play, where some of us that are a little bit more experienced can then, it's incumbent upon us to try to share with whoever will listen some of these lessons to try to teach you. It would never have made sense. I've never bought a repack product that way, and it wouldn't make any sense for me to participate in it. The math is just not there for me, in addition to the fact that if I just want the card, I may as well just go and either buy the card or go after the card or find ways to trade up towards it or do whatever I need to do to get the card the old-fashioned way, quote unquote. It just makes more sense from an ROI standpoint for my time and my energy rather than try to, win a scratch-off ticket here. But assuming it's not all on the up and up, assuming the game is even more stacked, the deck is even more stacked against you, well, then you're already in a lot of trouble because you took a game that was already very difficult to win and you made it completely impossible because now it might not be possible to win. Somebody is basically taking you for a ride. At that stage, I do understand being a lot more upset about it. I do get that portion of it. But I do still think a lot of that reaction is out of proportion because are repack products inherently evil? No, they're not. Are they a way of somebody getting rid of inventory they might not want? Absolutely. Just logically, it makes a lot of sense for that. And like I said, it could be a profitable venture in addition to getting rid of some inventory you don't want. And then you're using these nicer cards as an enticement. Again, in the scenario where you're doing exactly what you say you're going to do and you put the cards in the packs. But if you don't, then you've stacked the deck even further against the person buying these packs and pretty much guaranteeing there will be all losers and really no winners. And in that scenario, that just goes under the same category of, any other dishonest actors in the hobby. And it's important that we do stay diligent about that. But at the same time, we do need to, education is basically the only way you can do that. And the education is that, hey, this kind of product doesn't make sense. Even if everything is good, I still recommend against it. But if you must, well, then at least try to take care of yourself. At least try to make sure that you cover all your bases to give yourself the best possible opportunity to maybe, if everything goes your way, have at least a reasonable experience. So already, I've covered in this. Like I said, I don't want to make these too long. We're going to keep them short and sweet. A, I would recommend against any repack product, regardless of who's delivering it. B, you do need to be aware of the possibility that there are some dishonest actors who would take advantage of this type of product, not only to dump some cards on you that they don't really want to have, cards that you wouldn't make your money back on, but they may not even offer the big hit that they promise. And it's very difficult to audit and confirm that if you participate in a repack product unless you're able to see all of them opened. With that said, is there anything we can do to try to protect ourselves if we insist on gambling this way? And in addition, is there anything that we should try to look for? So this would be a couple of things I would offer to you. The first one is, what can we do to try to take care of ourselves? The best thing I could offer in suggestion there would be to try to participate with it the same way you would with a seller. Buy the seller. Try to at least stick with people that maybe have a reputation already in the community, maybe people that have done these types of products before with success, where you can validate that some people have received what they've been promised, and ones who have other businesses and other pillars inside of the hobby, where the likelihood is that they would not try to ruin their reputation over trying to make a couple extra bucks on a repack product when they've got so many other pillars and so many other verticals that they're already making money on. Maybe they do group breaks, maybe they've got a card store. A variety of other ways that they could be directly connected to the community, or maybe they're a content creator on YouTube and they're very visible, like everybody knows who they are and you see them. Does that guarantee that you're not going to get, burned on one of these things? Absolutely not. Nothing is a 100% guarantee. And that's the part that I need to be absolutely clear on. There are no 100% guarantees. But with that said, there is still the possibility that if you look for some of these factors, the same way that you would look for a high feedback score on eBay, or you would look for references in a Facebook marketplace or anything like that, using those basic pieces of diligence, due diligence for yourself, and trying to do those checks at least gives you a better opportunity to potentially be able to safeguard yourself a little bit. And so those are the kinds of things you're looking for. You're looking for somebody who has more to lose by ripping you off on a product like that than someone who has very, very light roots and could very easily just be a fly-by-night and just take off as soon as they're discovered. So that's what you're trying to look for. And the second aspect of it that I would look for, and this is more of a suggestion, I don't know of how many repack product people would take this approach, but if I was going to try to offer a repack product, I wouldn't really, because I think there's other ways to make money in the hobby. But if I was going to, then maybe the only way you could possibly, and again, I'm saying possibly, just a thought out there, a way that you could possibly try to do it would be to keep it all in-house, so to speak. And by that I mean you would have multiple avenues for people to be able to see transparently what's going into it. I would show every card that is available to be put in one of these packs. I would show the configurations of the packs, but I would not associate the number so that nobody has an unfair advantage knowing which pack has which cards. But having the cards in a spreadsheet or some kind of a format that people could see would at least ensure that if they get one of the repacks and it matches what's in there, there's a greater likelihood that everything that's being promised is in one of these packs. And ideally, like I said, if I was going to do it, my approach would be to focus in on the live streaming aspect of it. I would probably have these packs available. I would do it as part of a live stream. You need a big audience to pull this off probably. But I would do it as part of a live stream where all the packs are there. They're all numbered. You would sell the packs on the live stream, all of them. And if and only if you sell all of them, you would be able to show, the same way that breaks happen now in a lot of cases, you'd be able to show everybody what packs they have, and then you would open the packs for them on the live stream with them having a link to be able to access the contents of each individual pack, again, without the numbers, but just knowing that, hey, I opened 3 packs, these 15 cards came out, and each of the packs of 5 correspond to what's on the spreadsheet, would at least give me some assurance that what's being shown here is actually matching what's coming out of these packs. That creates at least a little bit of an audit trail. Again, is it guaranteed? Absolutely not. Are there ways to game that? For sure. But at least having that live element means you got people watching, people seeing. It's the same way the breaks work, where you wonder if somebody could switch a pack or something. Well, the more angles you can see, so to speak, in this case, the little bit of extra assurance it would give you. Just having that transparency of being able to physically see the packs, knowing that you've got pack number 1 is pulled right there with the number 1, you open it on the spot, and it matches one of the items inside of that spreadsheet or whatever you would use to show, would at least give you that little bit of extra. And as long as you go through all the packs, again, the point was selling all the packs on that live stream, so that everybody who's watching is able to see that someone pulls the big draw, the big chase cards, and then it goes to them, and then afterwards we can confirm that they receive them. If you were to do that a couple of times, you could probably build the reputation of being good with the repack products. And then I would keep that kind of transparency going, because that would be the way to distinguish yourself from other ones where they just ship you the pack, or they try to open the pack live somewhere, but the packs got sold in different phases and you don't know what's really in the packs. You don't know how many things are in the packs. You don't know how many packs there are. Basically, the more information you have, the more comfortable you're going to be as a potential consumer. Even if throughout the course of this entire presentation, I have said repeatedly, don't buy repack products. It doesn't make mathematical sense. You're basically taking all the risk for almost minimal opportunity of gain. I see more things that could go wrong that could go right, but they're not inherently evil. If you really have your heart set on it, then consider some of the suggestions I made as far as things to look out for. And maybe that's your best way of at least, not guaranteeing, but at least giving yourself the best possible chance of having at least a moderately good experience, as long as you go in with your eyes completely wide open. With that said, I think that's it. That's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about in relation to repack products. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I'm open to discussing a variety of different things. I really want to keep these episodes a little bit more succinct. I want to keep them to one specific topic, and I am open to suggestions. So like I said in the description, I will include different ways that you can contact me. The YouTube channel is still always the best in the sense of the sheer amount of content. That is the hub that everything goes through regarding Because I'm Carlos or anything related to it. Links to everything are there. But in addition to that, you can reach out to me at carloscards12 on Instagram, and that would be a way of getting in touch with me and giving me any suggestions for any other topics that you'd like. Most of the time I'll do stuff like this on the YouTube channel with the visual element as well, but a topic like this is certainly one that doesn't really require the visuals, and I'm happy to kind of talk through it in this format and then offer it to you in both avenues, whatever you're most comfortable with, and also giving you some slightly more live content on the podcast feed so that you're not just getting all archives all the time. We'll see what the cadence is as far as these episodes are concerned, but hopefully you enjoyed this one since it's a little bit different from what I've been putting on the feed up until this point. Anyway, that's it for me. Thanks very much, and we'll catch you in the next episode.